Hello and welcome, my name is Blake and this is the 4th devlog for Sleigh Bells. Sleigh Bells is a Christmas themed survival horror game with a PlayStation 1 aesthetic. You play as a woman who's stalked by Killer Santa as she tries to make it home on Christmas Eve. The game is pretty much finished, and if you're watching this video on the day it comes out, then the game will be releasing tomorrow. But if you're not watching this video on the day it comes out, then the game's available right now and you should go download it. Now let's get into the last week of Sleigh Bells development. Originally Sleigh Bells had 3 main maps, but I thought that the third one ended the game too abruptly, and so I decided to add in a 4th and final area, which is not the best thing to do when you're already running behind schedule, but I did it anyway. The 4th map is smaller in scale but has a different style of gameplay to the others. I won't say what exactly you'll be doing in the final stage because I want you to experience it for yourself, but I'm sure you can probably guess. Once I completed the map, I moved on to balancing the difficulty. This mostly consisted of figuring out how fast the player walks, how fast the player runs, how much stamina they should have, as well as how fast the Killer Santa should be. This was achieved through a lot of trial and error, changing a value slightly, testing how it felt to play, slightly tweaking the value again, and so on until I was happy with it. I spent a lot of time doing this because I wanted to get these values balanced as best I could, because they have a real impact on how easy or hard the game is. If the player was too fast and they could easily outrun the killer, this would make the game too easy and remove all of the tension. But if they were too slow and the killer was able to easily catch up to them, then the game would become unfairly difficult. I also had to do a similar thing with damage and range of the weapons in the game, making sure they didn't do too much damage nor too little and had an appropriate reach. However, they were much easier to balance than the other parts of the game. After I was happy with the game's difficulty, I started the dreaded task of bug fixing. For those of you who don't know how bug fixing works, it pretty much consists of playing your game over and over and over again until you don't ever want to look at it again, trying to find as many bugs as possible. Once I find a bug or other issue, I write it down and then try to fix it. Bug fixing took me about 3 days, which is much quicker than it usually takes me, but I still managed to find 3 pages of bugs that needed fixing. Luckily now they're all pretty much gone. Now that balancing and bug fixing was out of the way, I moved on to finishing up the things that had been left out of the game up until this point. This mostly consisted of a lot of sound work. Once I had found and edited all of the music and sound effects that I needed for the game, I had to start programming them in. This is something that I don't usually put much time into, but I wanted to improve the overall sound quality of this game. In my previous games, whenever a sound had to be stopped, like when going from one map to the next, the sound would just cut off and can be really jarring to listen to, so I decided that I was going to learn how to program in audio fades. Yes, you actually have to program in audio fades. It's not like with video editing where you can right click on an audio clip and select fade out from a drop down window. You actually have to program it in. Luckily though, it isn't that difficult. The way that I did it isn't the best or most flexible method, but it worked well for the game's needs. It pretty much boils down to lerping an audio source's volume from one value to another over a set time. It is a bit of a pain in the ass, but what else are you going to do? So now that the game is pretty much finished with only a few minor things to add, I'm spending my time getting everything else ready to release the game, like making the thumbnail, posters, the trailer, and setting up the itch.io and GameJolt pages. I don't find any of this stuff that much fun to do, but it's a very important part of it. I don't consider myself to be very good at making posters and the whole graphic design side of things, but having to make YouTube thumbnails every week has definitely helped me to improve. If you made it right through this video, me rambling on about things that I doubt many of you would find that interesting, then I hope you decide to download the game. It'll be available on itch.io and GameJolt from the 23rd of December and will be free. However, if you want to give me a few dollars for it, the option to do so will be there and I really appreciate it. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at BlakeMProds or on Instagram at BlakeMProductions. I post on there once a day, so you can head over to those places and give me a follow if you want to. If you've liked this video, be sure to give it a like and comment down below to tell me your thoughts on it, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. As this is my last video before Christmas, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and thank you to everyone who's followed along on my game development journey up until this point. As always, my name is Blake McKinnon. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.